G'day ladies and gents, welcome back to the YouTube channel. How are we all doing this lovely evening? It's cold, I'm cold, I don't care, video's gotta be done, man. How are we on this fantastic winter's night? I know a lot of you guys are in America, so it's probably a little bit toastier where you guys are than it is where I am, but the riding does not stop because it is cold. Thank God I don't get snow in Melbourne. But the rain does put a break on things sometimes. But g'day ladies and gents, my name is Nathan. I make videos on motorcycles and you know I'm going to keep on doing it. You've heard the spiel before. But ladies and gents, I have an interesting topic today on one of my favourite motorcycles and how I think they made a terrible mistake. Before I get into it though, we also just cracked 8,000 subscribers on the channel. Woo-hoo! So thank you so much for sticking around, ladies and gents, joining in on the channel, subscribing to your boy, supporting me in all my motorcycle goodness. It does mean a lot to me, so I'm very thankful that you guys are doing it. Thank you, Squeaky Brakes. I'm going to have to pull you apart soon when that clip comes. One more time, hopefully. One more time. But yes, it's exciting. 8,000. We're on the road to 10. The goal for this year is 10,000 subscribers. It looks like the predictions say October, but we can do better than that. So, ladies and gents, if you want to do me a favour, share the channel around. Let's get this thing growing. I want to hit that beautiful 10K sooner than later. But without further ado, now let's get into the topic. So, we're talking about what is perhaps one of my favourite motorcycles, and that is the Indian Scout, alright? Now, I think 2023 was the last year they manufactured the 1133cc one. You can still get them brand new, which is lovely. There's just not many of them left. But this is probably what I'm leaning towards as my next bike. I know I said I wanted something a bit more sporty, but like I said, the more I ride alone, the more I find myself not needing to get myself something so sporty, focused and whatnot. If I was still riding with a bunch of other people, it's a bit different, but now that I'm alone, I'm enjoying the cruisery stuff more again. But the new Indian Scout and Indian Scout Bobber, which is more so what I'm after, they've done a few changes. They've got a bigger engine, a better frame, the TFT dash, and that comes with some positives and some negatives. So out of the gate, I think the bike's technically a little bit more powerful, but it doesn't apparently feel any faster. This is coming from the actual Indian rep, not me. Okay, so take it up with him, mate, not me. But the new Indian Scout comes with that lovely TFT that I do enjoy about the new Indian bikes, but the issue with them is they are very slow at the startup, but that's not what the main gripe is. So apparently with the new Indian, if you want to tune them, they're not as simple as plug in a thing and get them tuned to the dyno. Apparently you need to get the ECU modified, so you got to ship the ECU off to America if you're not in America, and then when you get it back, then you can take it to a shop and get it tuned properly, according to the man, which is an interesting sort of design choice, I'll tell you that much. So bloody emissions ruining everything. Their new engine, despite being a little bit bigger power in CC wise and power wise, none of the Indian Scout 101 I think it's called, has 110 horsepower over the amazingly stock 100 horsepower of the older model. Whoa, big gains. And apparently if you tune the older bike, you'll still get it faster than the new ones. So there's just simple things like that. But besides the tuning things, man, there's a few design choices with this one that I find a little bit questionable. So I didn't really think about this till it was made apparent to me, but the new Indian Scout, they've really sort of made the frame to sort of look more like the Chief, which until it was pointed out, I didn't really think about this, but now that it's been pointed out, I see it. So it looks like it's got a tubular frame like the Chief does, but the issue is it's still a stress member thing with the engine, so it still uses the engine as its main point for the frame, whereas the old one looked like a standard engine as a stress member. The new one, they sort of went for that tubular look, but it doesn't really make sense. Now, I don't mind the new frame personally. I still like the look of the old bike more, but it's an interesting choice. I don't know why they went this way. The main gripe with it is I know the engine is bigger, okay, but my God, what were they thinking with the design of that new engine? If you put the old engine and the new one side by side, I reckon 9 times out of 10 most people will pick the older engine. The 1133, they just did something so beautifully with the way they built that engine, man. It looks gorgeous. The way that the metal shines on it, the blacked out bits, it's fantastic. Whereas the new one's just sort of black with some accents which aren't necessary. It's just sort of trying to mimic the old look. And personally, I know this is all opinion based, but I think they really butchered the look of the Indian Scout on the newer model. So the old one had a different shaped frame, different shaped tank, and I don't even like the new tank as much. The new tank's a lot more rounder than the old one. The old tank was a lot more angular, as it were. Like it's the same shape, but it was a bit sharper looking. Does that make sense? The new one is the same shape, but it's more rounded. It's like they just tried to make it more like sleek. Now, it's fine. I don't mind a sleek looking cruiser, but the Indian Scout Bobber was a very, like, angry looking bike. It's still an angry looking bike, but I think they lost a little bit of that angry charm with the new model by making it more sleek looking. You know what I mean? So, personally for me, what were they thinking when they designed the new one? I know they designed it from the ground up, and it was in need of an update, because that bike's been around for a little while now with basically no changes to it. But the way they've done it, I think they really could have done a better job with the new one. The engine is my main gripe with it. I don't like the way it looks. I know it's a better engine, but I don't like the way it looks. And the fact that tuning it became such a headache over the old one. I know it's rules, but you didn't have to make it such a pain in the ass to do it. So if I'm going to buy one in the future, I'm most likely going to buy an 1133cc one. I just like them better. They look nicer. They feel fine. The seat on the new one, I will say, is significantly better than the old one. All right, the new seat is way better, but that's not an issue. You can fix the seat. The pegs, some people like mini floorboards, some people don't. I didn't like the big floorboards personally. I might like the mini floorboards though; they're a little bit more comfortable. But the rest of the changes, look, I don't think they were as necessary as possible. One big change, which was a good thing, was the headlight change. They put a LED on it by default now, as opposed to having to upgrade to the Pathfinder. I know if I buy one, it's probably going to have to be a Pathfinder upgrade. I know it's expensive, but it's worth it. But it says a lot where I'm looking at spending more money upgrading the older model to get to the new one. Also, in Australia, an old Indian Scout Bobber costs $20,000, okay? It's an expensive cruiser, nowhere near as expensive as the Harleys or the Chief or anything, but $20,000 for the old Indian Scout Bobber. The new one is $25,000. Now, I don't know how a slight update justifies like $5,000 difference. If the new bike was like $1,000, $1,500 more, fair enough. It's a different bike. I can understand charging a bit more for an updated model. But $5,000 for the standard like Scout Bobber compared to the old one is egregious. I think that is a stupidly greedy decision. Now, I don't care what they do to justify it. It's not justifiable when the old one was selling for the $5,000 less, and it's essentially a very same bike. Yes, I know they did a lot of updates, but it's just a newer model of the bike. That's like saying, hey man, the R1 is $29,000, $28,000. We've just added some wings to it, and now the bike is $34,000. And you're like, excuse me? And it's usually worse because of emissions. So you're like, what? Nani? What's going on here? It's criminally greedy, and I know I can't do anything about it, and I know the second-hand market will, reset itself. But I think a few things have gone wrong with this new Indian Scout Bobber that it's probably going to harm the platform. Now, I know Indians are becoming a lot more popular because Harley keeps shooting themselves in the foot. It's like they have a sinking ship, and instead of patching it up, they get the shotgun and blow a hole in it again and go, you know what, this is what we needed, this is better. And they seem to be doing that constantly. Whereas Indians, like, this is working, let's do this and make it better. And they usually do. I know their new Indian Chief as well is actually technically slower than the previous model because of emissions laws. And the same thing, if you want to tune a Chief, you've got to send the ECU off and get it done. It's just a headache, man. They don't make it easy. And I know they sort of have to do this. I'm not a really big fan of the new exhaust on the new Indian Scout Bobber. Now, I know that the first thing that most people change is an exhaust. The 2-in-1's a very common exhaust change on the Indian Scout Bobber. Usually people go the Freedom Combat route, although I hear they rust a little bit, but I don't think it's going to matter. I'm not going to go down that route because I don't want an exhaust that's too loud. I know I like a loud exhaust, but I can't live with a loud exhaust all the time. So a slip-on will be loud enough. But on the old Indian Scout, you got the twin shotgun exhaust, and you can put a slip-on rather easily. On the new one, it's not so simple. So now I know that one's probably not their fault. Emissions laws do that. That's why the new Triumph Street Triples, their exhausts are welded from the factory. So if you want to put a slip-on on, you actually got to buy like an older generation Street Triple set of headers and whatnot. Otherwise, you can't put a slip-on unless you want to cut and weld. Which, let's be honest, no one of us can be bothered doing that. And if you can't be bothered, I salute you, sir or ma'am. But in most cases, people are just going to put a full system on because it's just easier than bloody going through the whole hassle of making, like, this has got to be cut, this has got to be cut, this has got to be cut. And you're like, oh my God, brother, I don't want to have to do that. It's too much work for something so little. Now, I don't know if the new exhaust is welded. All I know is that if you're going to do small different exhausts, it's going to be a bit more of an annoyance because the engine's different, so the exhausts are different. Does the exhaust still sound good when you have a nice pipe on it? Yes, it does. It's a nice V-twin. Of course it's going to sound good, but it's just not as good and easy as it was before. It doesn't sound worse. In fact, it'll probably sound a little bit deeper, but just because it's a bigger engine. But I just think there was a few things they did that could have been done superior on this new bike. I don't think it's a bad bike per se. I just think if they started with that one and they upgraded to the new one look-wise, it probably would have done remarkably. Because I've done it the other way around, I find the general consensus, not everybody, I don't care if you like it, alright? If you like it, happy days to you, fantastic. I like it too. I just don't think it's as good. But the general consensus is everyone looks at it and goes, well, that's not as good as the old one. And I can't help but agree. So let me know down below what you guys think of it, because it's honestly, yeah, it's a bit like that at the moment. I know that they've upgraded everything else. They've made it a little bit better. And on the Scout 101, they've actually put inverted suspension on it, which is fantastic. But because I know they haven't done that on the regular Scout Bobber. But I don't think there's enough change between the models to justify the price hike. I don't think they did the best job designing wise. They just could have done a few things differently and a few things better. I think they missed the mark here, boys and girls. But I do want to hear you guys' thoughts and opinions on it, because obviously, you know my opinion. There's nothing wrong with an opinion, alright? It's a better bike by all means. But to do everything else to it, it's not worth it. The price difference is not worth it to me. Ooh, a Rebel went by. And it's just, I think there's a few things they could do a bit better. And I really think the engine was the biggest mistake by changing the look of it. I know they have to change the look when they change the engine, but they could have done something a little bit more akin to the current, like the older model one. Because I think that engine is just sexy. And then the new one is just very meh. So it's a damn shame in that regard, but what do you do? Unfortunately, I can't do anything. I can't afford them anyway to complain about it, but I will give it a test ride when I get the chance, because I'm not opposed to giving it a go. I think they're still great bikes, but I just think they missed the mark there. So let me know down below, ladies and gents, and your thoughts and opinion on the matter, because I know there's a lot of you guys in the comments that actually do like the Scouts quite a bit. So, do you like them? Do you hate them? Let me know. Give a comment. Otherwise, hop on the Discord, ladies and gents. There's a link in the description. Get yourself some merch. Otherwise, this is it for me today. Take it easy. Keep it cheesy. You know I love you, but it's time to leave you. So have a good one. Peace. Bye.